This is the 5-minute sample for King's Pawn, The Kings of Men MC Book 4, by Ki Brightly and M.D. Gregory. This is my 24th audiobook, and it was released on May 19th, 2020. Bishop the Penguin Cobblepot returns to take over Gotham and win Destiny's heart. Doing a whole book with this voice was a ton of fun. But let's not count Destiny out. One thing you might have noticed if you listened to a few of my samples is that I try to never do the stereotypical gay guy lisp. In an upcoming title, Secret Seth, one of my main characters, Tyler, comes close to it. But I consider my voice for him to be flamboyant and theatrical without having to resort to that easy, cheap lisp. I feel the same about Destiny. Destiny has an interesting dichotomous personality, where he is both regal and calm, while simultaneously being showy and rambunctious. Unlike other characters who have some sort of inciting event to trigger their tempers and this shift in personality, Destiny can switch between the two extremes on a dime, and it honestly feels natural, because he owns whatever he says. His inner strength and confidence, in defiance of his outstandingly realistic abusive upbringing, make him a very compelling character. Perhaps one of the most well-written in any title I've narrated thus far, not just within the Kings of Men series. This is a very satisfying narrative, with two very dynamic and strong leads. I hope you enjoy this 5-minute sample. We made sad eyes at each other for a while. We weren't twins, but we were born so close together, sometimes we acted like it. I missed her in prison, and I knew I'd miss her wherever she was going now. I handed her the coat, and she put it on. The material hung off her like she was a scarecrow, and we both laughed as she flapped around the sleeves, but I helped her roll them up as well as we could. I did go rooting through the kitchen drawers until I found the ubiquitous junk drawer that nearly every person seemed to own. There were no safety pins, which I was really hoping for, but I was able to use 2 large clips, the kind you usually saw on a pile of paperwork, to keep her sleeves where they should be. With one more hug, she left, and the apartment was insanely quiet. The TV was on, but I'd muted it when Mabel told me she was leaving, and we started arguing. I was worried Dad would be able to find her with her phone, do some sort of hinky wiretap crap, but she said the line was in her name, and he couldn't. I wasn't so sure. I was worried they'd find her at the bus station. I was just worried, but there was no way to tell her anything once she made up her mind. For a few minutes, I sat on the couch, staring at some show about fashion models without knowing anything about it. Then a black scuff on the floor caught my eye, and a few more did too. Next thing I knew, I was searching around the kitchen for something to remove the blemishes on the wood. Then, from under the sink, I had oil soap and a bucket and a few rags. I didn't want to trash the only clothes I had, so I stripped off my jeans and sweater and started cleaning the floor in my briefs. I cranked up the heat in the apartment so I wouldn't be cold, and I was able to stop myself from chasing after Mabel by tracking down every single black mark and scrubbing them until my shoulders ached. I refused to cry anymore about anything. Sweat ran down my brow and stung my eyes. I wouldn't let this weakness go on anymore. I wasn't going to be Eugene, the sniveling little brat who took beatings and whined about his life and flunked out of school. I glanced up at the TV and watched a girl step into a long golden dress she was about to model, and my heart fluttered. There was a man there with her, the designer, and jealousy ate at my guts as he pinned that dress just so, until it was a shapely fit. My mouth watered as the artist did her face up like a goddess. My hands went pruny, and maybe the soap fumes got to me, but my eyes watered, and I slapped that rag into the bucket, and sat there with my wet hands on my knees, shaking like a dainty golden sequin on that fabulous dress. I'm Destiny, and I'm in control of myself, god damn it! I grabbed that rag out of the murky water again, and scrubbed the floor until it gleamed, a deep, pleasing reddish brown, and I kept at it until I was satisfied I'd hit every corner of the living room. Destiny doesn't want to be the abused little boy from West New Gothenburg who covered up his bruises and went to school where he slouched around and hid whenever he could. No, Destiny is the center of attention. Destiny is fun. Destiny enjoys every minute of his life, and that includes sex. I made that declaration to the empty room, and, happily, it seemed to approve. The air was alive with the jarring scent of fresh lemon, and I set my jaw as I took the bucket into the bathroom. The mirror wasn't as much an enemy as it had been earlier, but I still avoided it while I emptied the disgusting cleaning water into the toilet, and then gave it a flush. I took my time to clean the bucket, and decided the rag was too gross to run through a washer, and trashed it. I put everything away, and was sucked into admiring the gleaming change I was able to bring to Bishop's apartment with only 45 minutes and some elbow grease. I glared at the front door. When it opened again, Bishop wasn't going to have this ruined wreck. I lightly ran my fingers over my bruised cheek. He was going to have destiny. I snorted and sashayed my way to the couch, where my bag of makeup lay. No, maybe I didn't have everything I wanted, and hell, maybe nothing could work out with Bishop, and I'd end up back in prison, but I could look good, and I could enjoy myself. If prison could be fun for me, for the most part, then I could make anything work. Maybe I hadn't wanted Mabel to go scouring around the apartment for a safe, or even loose change, but I didn't have the same problems rifling through Bishop's clothing. I found a 3-pack of black shirts that were under the others in one of his drawers. They were a size too small for him, which meant they were still too big, but better for me to wear than anything else he owned. Pants would be trickier, but he actually had a pair of sweats with a drawstring, so I pulled them out and then went to the bathroom. A link to purchase King's Pawn is in the description below. This title was a royalty share production, so I make 20% from any purchases. Thanks for listening.